Well, on a more humorous note today, there are, of course, believers and non-believers, and some of these believers seem to invest in the gospel of getting rich. So here it comes. You know, just the perfect uptick once the stock market rises again, as it's doing right now. On stage before thousands of believers weighed down by debt and economic insecurity, Kenneth and Gloria Copeland and their all-star lineup of prosperity gospel preachers delighted the crowd with anecdotes about the luxurious lives they have attained through the gospel of God. Private airplanes and boats, a motorcycle sent by an anonymous supporter, vacations in Hawaii and cruises in Alaska, designer handbags, a ring of emeralds and diamonds. God knows where the money is, and He knows how to get the money to you, preaches Mrs. Copeland, dressed in crisp pantsuits like CEOs on Wall Street. Even in an economic downturn, preachers in the prosperity gospel are drawing sizable, adoring audiences. Their message? That if you have sufficient faith in God and the Bible and donate generously, to the Copelands that is, God will multiply your offerings 100-fold. It's really reassuring in hard times. But the offering buckets came up a little bit more empty than usual in some previous years, but it doesn't matter. They were still passed around and still collected plenty of money. Many in this flock do not trust the banks, the news media in Washington, where the Senate Finance Committee is investigating whether the Copelands and other prosperity evangelists used donations to enrich themselves and abused their tax-exempt status. No, we can't have any of that. But they trust the Copelands, the movement's current patriarch and matriarch, who seem to embody prosperity with their robust health and abundance of children and grandchildren who have followed them into the ministry. If God did it for them, He will do it for us, said Iwich Nudi, who traveled with her husband and 3 children from Canada for the Southwest Believers Convention, this month, where the Copelands and 3 of their friends took turns preaching for 5 days, 10 hours a day at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Now, mind you, what I'm reading you here is not a critique of ordinary folks who believe in God or believe in Christianity or whatever. I mean, this is kind of a it's kind of a curious movement, wouldn't you say? A crowd of more than 9,000, and it was multiracial, by the way, from 48 states and 27 countries. There was no fee to attend, of course. There were bikers and leather vests and pastors and blue-collar workers and professionals and plenty of families with children and plenty of huge collection buckets to be passed around. The large contingent also came in wheelchairs, hoping for miraculous healings. The audience sat with Bibles open, flipping the passages by their preachers, taking notes on pads and laptop computers. The folks who are coming here are not poor, said Jonathan Walton, a professor of religion at the University of California, Riverside, who has written about the movement and was doing some research there. I'll try to post a link to his website as well. In any case, it seems that when shit goes to hell, many times over, you can always rely on the Bible. Now, there's something to be said about several passages of the Bible or the Quran or any kind of religious teaching, for teaching for that matter. And that is the one thing that all of these teachings somehow seem to have in common, and that is not the gospel of prosperity, but to look out for the weakest members of society amongst us. Of course, you know, this is all forgotten here. So, I don't consider myself a Christian, so I can't really speak on those issues. I'm a humanist, basically, and I believe in reasonable solution and in humane solutions, not in some sort of a apocalyptic worldview. But of course, I get lots of comments on here, and I'm not going to delve into the whole religious thing. But yeah, so these folks are lining their pockets, and they don't have to pay any taxes. You see, the gospel, the prosperity gospel church, doesn't pay a goddamn dime in taxes, and they're collecting money from, you know, people who can be impressed by this bullshit because they're too ignorant to think for themselves. So, I guess that's just part of humanity, I guess. It goes on everywhere. Anyway, don't take this too seriously. We have other problems than just prosperity gospels and their preachers who don't have to pay any taxes. But this is basically what it's come to, you know. A nation essentially ruled and followed by a bunch of zombies.